put down a hammer. All right. Hey, everyone. So today is the day where we are going to mod the Xbox One version 2 for the Xbox One Kinect's hardware to work with the LIV, the Beat Saber, and we'll go all over that. So we're going to just get started.
Yeah,
and
but
as we're going to get started,
before we start, we are not electricians. Do this at your own risk. If you jack up your Xbox One Kinect,
we're not responsible.
And if you plug it in and you soldered it wrong and you kill a motherboard, hey, we're not responsible. Matter of fact, there's a chance that we're going to do it because we don't trust our own soldering.
But you know what? Well, before we do, I'm going to go over the tools that you're going to need real quick.
So do this.
The whole goal to this mod is this cable right here is proprietary. And Mandy, I'll switch, if you want to switch over to the other cam. And we got a moderator who's doing the camera switching. This cable right here is proprietary to the Xbox One. If you look at the end here, this connection right here is proprietary to the Xbox One. And what we're trying to do is take this cable. This also feeds 12 volts from the bottom of this cable right here into the Xbox.
No, this feeds.
Yeah.
No, this is USB.
This is USB, but the bottom part feeds.
Oh, right, the original one.
Okay, so our goal is we're going to remove this and solder a power supply into the Xbox One and
replace
this cable with a 3.0 USB cable.
Because this cable right here is actually what is housed in here minus the 12 volts being supplied from the left and right. So in reality, what you're trying to do is you're trying to replace this cable with this and this to substitute this cable to get hooked up to the PC. So that's the goal.
Your end result is going to go from this to this. And as you can see, the power cable goes in. There's the power cable. Power cable goes in, and you still have a jack. You still have a jack to put your USB device into. So that's our goal. So that's what we're going to do. So the tools you're going to need. Mandy, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, the tools you're going to need.
Do you want to switch to us? Mm-hmm. And if you're chatting, by the way, the moderator is Mandy. Her name is Amanda. She is responding to you.
All right, so here's the tools in the order in which you need them. You're going to need a heat gun. Now, this is optional. You could just, there's two ways of doing this. You can heat gun the stickers off so you can reuse them, or you can just pop holes into the bottom if you know where the holes are. Yes, and this is not a woman's play tool.
Don't judge me.
So you got the heat gun to remove the stickers.
Right.
You're going to need a...
Can you switch to the table?
You're going to need a T10 security bit, and if you look closely, there's going to be a hole in the center of the T10 security bit. So you're going to need a T10 security bit. You're going to need a pair of clippers, a pair of wire cutters. You're going to need
possibly some tweezers.
You're going to need
an X-Acto knife, some kind of blade to do some cutting with.
A screwdriver.
You're going to need, and we'll move the camera a little bit, you're going to need a soldering gun. You're going to need a drill. And the drill bit is based off of the size of the cable, the gauge wire that came with your power supply. You're going to need a hammer. This is for two things. In case things don't go well, you're going to need this at the end. But in order to do the modification, you're going to need it for the housing. And then, of course, you're going to need all of the... And a heat gun. We said a heat gun, right?
Right.
And a hot glue gun, which is over to the left.
We have to our left plugged in.
And you're also going to need, of course, the cables and the power supply, which the links are in the description or where we purchased ours. You're going to spend around $15 for it.
So let's go over like what. Okay. So out of everything we need, the things that a lot of it is optional. You're definitely going to need a soldering gun. You're definitely going to need a soldering gun or soldering iron with solder. You're definitely going to need the power supply and the USB. The power supply that we're using is a 12 volt 3 amp power supply.
3 amp?
Yep, 12 volt 3 amp, very important power supply, and a A to B USB 3.0
Yeah, it's got to
cable.
be 3.0.
We use the 9-foot USB cable. Now, everything we just mentioned is in the description of our YouTube video, including the links to Amazon where we picked up the power supply and the USB cable. Now, we did, full disclaimer, we did this mod last night, the wee hours of the morning on the other one, and everything worked fine. So that's why we're doing this.
And that was with about an hour testing. We had to stop. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So
let's get, Mandy, any questions?
No.
Okay, so let's get
all right, let's do
get
this.
the modding.
Let's do it.
So the first thing you want to do is grab your Kinect,
Okay.
and you will see.
Now, can you switch to the table? Okay, good.
So you will see on the Kinect that this moves up and down. We never had a Kinect prior to this, so headphone alert. We're going to be turning on the heat gun.
Right. So now the goal is we're going to take this heat gun right here, and we're going to heat up. There's 2 stickers on each side of these right here. One here
And one here.
and one here. One is a security sticker from Microsoft. It's a little bit harder to get off, and then the other one is just a plain sticker. Now, you don't have to take these off. You can find a little indentation where you just poke through to get to the screws because there's Torx screws under here. In our situation, we're going to take these off. Okay, so we're going to heat this up so that we can remove it. All right, here comes the noise. Now, when you're doing this, if you can hear me, you want to be careful because if you heat this up too much, you really could melt the plastic on the Kinect. So be careful when you do this. All right, you want to try that?
I really should have worn my glasses. So what I'm doing now is just grabbing the corner.
You can heat it up more.
Let me try this corner.
Just dig in there. Dig in there, bro.
Yeah, you're gonna have to heat it up a little bit more. Let me try it.
Here, you want
Because you got glasses on too. So he's just trying to get underneath the corner of one of these stickers. Is it too hot? Let me turn that off.
Okay.
Is that in view, Mandy?
Yeah.
Okay, look at that.
Okay,
Look at that.
so-
See? So now that's the whole point of that. Now this one is the
I'm gonna put this-
non-security version.
I'm going to put this off to the side.
Okay, so we're just going to stick that on.
I'm just sticking it to the table, and if you look, that will give you visibility to the 4 screws.
Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Heat her up. Now this one here, as soon as you take this off, this one's a little harder to get off. This has Microsoft written all over it.
I wouldn't go too close to it.
No, keep going.
You try that? Good job. Good job.
Yeah, throw some heat on that as I'm doing that. Nice, nice. Okay, you can take it off. Take it off. Wait, Jack, you were burning up my fingers, dude. All right, and then this one here, actually, you can't even see it, but this one has Microsoft written on it. But so don't be surprised if this one's a little bit tougher to get off.
Yeah. Okay. So.
All right, 2 down. All right, that
Okay.
was step 1.
You guys should have added band-aids to the list just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have.
Okay. So now, once you uncover the screws, you're going to see there's going to be 2 short screws here and here, and 2 long screws here and here on both sides. So we're going to remove those 4 screws and just put them aside in the order that you pull them out. And these are pretty tight. So you're going to need a little bit of torque to get these off. So
gonna
you
move
can
this
see the
over.
size of that one is small. The size of this one is going to be small.
I don't know. Your hand blocks it as.
Okay. This one is going to be longer. So you can see the difference here. That's the small. Came from the top. These are the bottom ones. Those are longer. Okay. Okay, that one's out. Mandy, if we need to alter anything, let us know. Long one. Now, I'm gonna just keep in mind that we did not invent any of this. We did not. This was not our creation. This is just us doing weeks of research on this and pulling together everybody's best practices.
Yeah.
To come up with this video. So if you see something and you go, oh, I seen that on somebody else's video, well, you're right. We watched a lot of folks do this. We read a lot of forums on what not to do, what problems people ran into.
And a lot of people charge for this.
Right.
You know, so if you could save a couple bucks. All right. So now what you're going to do here is now this is loose. You want to bring this up as far as possible. You're going to pull this up and you're going to hear it snap. That's not a bad thing. That's actually what you want to hear. So I'm going to pull it up. There you go. And because it's snapped, I'm able to pull this off.
So it comes straight out.
Okay, so that's really the first part that you're trying to get off is right here.
Okay.
So we're just going to put that aside.
So the next part
Here, let's turn this way a little bit.
is going to be removing the screws for underneath here. This is the fan housing, the fan
Right.
shroud.
Here and here, I don't know if you can see that, there are two different, can you, okay, there are two different screws there, so you're going to pull it off, and it's the same T10 bit. Also, while he's doing this, yesterday's video was, or 2 days ago, I think it was, or yesterday, was very popular. We appreciate everybody's support. If you like this content, subscribe to the channel.
Now,
'cause we appreciate it.
There's two clips here and here holding this on. You want to lift this up carefully. Let me get this up.
There we go.
Got one. But you got to be careful when you lift this up because you don't want to take off the fan that's underneath of it. I'm actually going to take a,
Wow.
this one's really hard to get off.
Yeah, you got to give it some force. There's something holding that there. Here, let's do this. I know you're going to cringe, but
We didn't forget a step, did we?
I don't think so. Oh, do we don't.
No, you have to pull that cable off.
Oh, let's pull this off. Doesn't the bottom have to be taken
Okay,
off?
let's take the
Yeah,
top
so
off.
there's now, this is tricky. So if you want to go this route, go this
Yeah,
route.
let's
If you
go
don't
this
want to
route.
fold this round. All right, so I'm going to flip this around. This is loose right now. Now this is going to be hard to video, but inside here, inside the back of this, there are tabs that if you use a screwdriver, you're going to be able to push in on the tabs and click them off. So I'm going to attempt to do that. I know it's going to be, I know you're not going to be able to see
Can
it.
I
on
make a
the-
suggestion?
Sure.
If you look here on the left, you got these panels.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you pop these panels out at this point, which you can,
It's much easier.
you'll see that that'll give you at least room to get in from the other side. So pop those two side panels out.
All right, so now I'm going to attempt to click the tabs in, and you'll hear it if we be quiet.
If you look inside, you'll see the
Well,
tabs.
you're not being quiet. Yeah, okay, so one clicked. Oh, I went inside there. Then we need to get over here to this tab. Let's see.
I can get this tab. Can we get
Can
this
it?
tab? Yep.
Here, just so we don't camera.
Wow. No bugger. Give me a sec. This one I don't even see a tab. Right on the end. See right there. That. Wow. Something's still holding this on. Okay. Okay, I've heard of this problem. There is another solution for this. Okay, and that is if you take your screwdriver and you look right here, there's another screw holding this front panel on. We can unscrew this front panel. So if you run into that problem, don't worry about it. Because what we can do is just take the whole housing off.
There's another screw on the other side.
Yeah, I'm just removing the same exact screw on the other side. Let's put that aside. And now this whole thing should come out. Let's take the... Oh yeah, I gotta pull this bottom part as you're doing it.
Here we go.
Okay. So that's the workaround if you have problems getting to them clips. Okay?
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah, they are there. And these are the clips
no,
we're talking about.
Here, yeah, let's show it. So if you look here, it's this clip here, this clip here, this clip here, and there's another one right here. And you're trying to push these down in order to get this off. So we'll just keep that right like that.
Yeah, we'll keep it like here. Let me put this with the screws over here. We're going to have to take this off to cut it anyway, so.
Here, you want to do this part and I'll take that off?
Yeah, okay. So he's going to work on that. So this is what you end up with. You end up with the PCB board. And this is where things get scary. So if you're afraid of soldering, I would not do this. But if you look closely, I'm going to bring down this camera. Mandy, let me know if you can see that. Can I borrow your glasses?
Yeah.
Okay, if you look closely, there is a, right here, let me turn it around this way so you can see. Okay, so right here, you'll see a number 10 connection on the board. Right here,
I can't see where you're pointing now.
and can you see now?
I think so.
Okay. So if you look right here, it's a number 10, right where I'm pointing. Right there. And then this is a ground, this is a ground, this is a ground, this is a ground. So you can use any of these points right here for your ground. Okay. So now with that, what we're going to do is attempt to pull this back off again, which is this housing here, which seemed stuck before. So let's see if we can get this off now. There we go. Okay. So now I pulled out the housing. I'm going to be careful. Once you pull these clips out, start pulling the plug out. Okay, and then you'll feel it come out. Now be careful. Keep the fan inside of it. Mandy, was all that caught? Okay, and then you'll end up, Bob's going to put that aside. You're going to end up with this. Now Now there's two things you can do with this. You can take this out, this rubber grommet right here. You want to keep that in there. You can pull this out. Now this is the proprietary Xbox One connection. And what we're going to do is we could either destroy this and throw it away, or what we're going to do is just simply take the knife and cut away the sides of this.
That side is what holds it into the Xbox One.
See these little flaps right here? We're cutting away these sides. Try to cut away as much as you can. And the goal is to take this cord, and I can feel an edge right here. Take this cord.
You're not in the camera. Put it down.
And push this through the other side. Let me take this off. So if you take off the rubber grommet, okay, so that's off. Just pull this through, and then now you have the old cable, which you can reuse if you ever decide to use this again on your Xbox One, and then simply put this the rubber grommet back in. And we'll save that. So we're going to put that aside.
So now, you want to do the drilling real quick?
Okay. So what you want to do at this point is we're going to prep this. So
Seeing how we have it there.
the whole idea now is
Drill.
in here, we can route the cable through this hole, but if we do that, that's going to leave very little for the actual USB connection, the USB 2.0. So what we're going to do is drill a hole right here in the center of this square so that we could slide our cable through and up through the other side. So we're going to now do that.
Put it in there.
Now we're using a drill bit that is the same size as the, so there's our hole, the same size as the cable that we're using. Now on the other side of this, you'll notice that there is, right here, there's a little peg. What you want to do is do your best to cut that away. So what, what's that?
Can you bring that a little bit closer?
Get
Sure.
closer in.
Am I close enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so right here, there's a peg. You want to take that out. So we're going to just use a pair of clipping tools and get in here
Move up.
and just snip them out. And then pull it out. Okay. And that just popped out. I'm just gonna take this away real second in the light so I can clean it up. Okay, so I removed a good portion of that right there inside. So now here's our goal. So we're going to take this cable, we're going to cut this wire off, the connection, and that's going to leave a black and a red wire.
Right.
But
So
black being
positive-
ground
positive and
and red being positive. So let me snip this off. And I'm going to snip off enough wire to, if I feed this wire through this hole, the whole goal to this is to wrap this wire through this little slot right here on the side that we made, and then have just enough wire to reach the two soldering points that we do on this board right here. So that is the whole goal. So now what we're going to do is we're going to strip this wire. Let it go a little bit more in. But there, right there. So I'm going to strip this wire right about there. And that gives us our red and our black. And now we're going to give us just a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking just enough to connect to the point.
Okay, that.
I think the black needs
Black
a
is
little bit
going
more.
to be now black. The
Okay.
the soldering point on the board for the ground is a lot wider than the soldering point on the pin that it has to be soldered to for the positive. So you have a little bit more play with the black.
Okay, so we're going to what we're going to do is we're going to slide this back one just to see if we have enough cable to reach the 2 points, and then if we do, we'll show you the next step. So let's move these over. I'm going to take the Kinect. I'm just going to pretend we're putting it back one. And that looks pretty good. What do you think?
I would say yes.
Okay.
A little closer with that, Peter.
What's that?
Get a little closer.
Okay, so see, all you're trying to do is get it so that it reaches this section. So, and it does, because we need to get to one of these pins over here, and this is the positive, and we'll point it out. So as long as you have it here, I think you're good.
Okay, so let me take this back off.
And now there's a couple more mods that we have to do. So
Okay.
we actually have to clip this, right?
Yeah,
So
so
then-
what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire, now that we know that this is the right length, and take the housing out of this wire down to just below this top part, so that when we put this together, this is not sticking up, it's just two thin wires. So I'm going to take a little bit more of this off. And I'm just going to do a little bit more.
Now you could do this any way you want. This is the way we chose to do it because
Right.
we not only want it to function, but we want it to look good. And then we don't want any tension on the
Right.
soldering points that we're putting.
So this is the whole point. So now I'm pushing in the wire over through here, up through this little hole, this little slit that we cut the plastic out. And now we've got our two wires sticking out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to, Bob, can you hold that for a second? Let's take this grommet out. Okay. We got to remember to put that back in. So anybody who's viewing, say, Bill or Bob, don't forget to put the grommet back in. Okay.
Does that need to be stepped a little bit more, or does that? That's good.
It's good. Don't you think?
Yep.
You want to go down a little bit more? We can go down a little bit more.
Just a touch. Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
All right, so this is a step that we chose to do. Again, you don't have to do this, but if you'll notice here, we have this pretty snug in here. So that right now, if I pull on this wire, it's not, the tension is actually being forced here. It's not being forced here. So if you ever pull on this, if you routed it some other way, then you may be pulling on your soldering point. So we now have all of the tension inside this section right here. What we're going to do for an added measure of security is we're going to hot glue.
Mandy, can you see that? Mm-hmm. So we're just going to fill a lot of this with hot glue. Like that.
And then we're going to go
and then I'm going to
inside
take
the
a
groove.
bead and be careful not to, we're just going to put a bead of hot glue there.
All right, and we're just going to let that sit there and dry for a second.
Okay. So that's drying, and what that's going to do is that's even going to provide even more security that this is not going to move on you and pull your solderings off the motherboard.
All right, so while this is drying, I think what we can do now is we can prep these wires for the solder. Can you twist that?
What's that, Mandy?
It's off the screen.
I touched the wire. So I'm twisting these wires a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tint them. Here you go. Here's your glasses, Ben. I can't see.
I
with
have
them.
these on.
I can't see with them. Okay. So I got them prepped. So what Bob's going to do now is we're going to tint these wires. Now remember, we're not electricians, so don't judge us. Can you see, Mandy? Good. Okay, so
Is
now
that one tinted enough? I think so. Right?
I think it is, yeah.
Let me hit it one more time. There we go.
Okay, so now we got solder on both of these wires, and that's ready to go. So we're gonna let that rest for a second. While we're letting this rest to dry, I'm gonna put that aside. Did you get this casing off?
Yeah.
Okay, so now these are steps that are optional, but I'm going to tell you that there's people that have problems with their Xbox shutting off, and we don't know if this helps it or if it doesn't. But on the top of here, this is where the cable, if we put the housing that we just put together back on here, that wire is going to be right here. And what you don't want to happen is you don't want to have the red and black wire going over this metal to possibly over time rub and cut into the metal and short your unit out over time. So what we're going to do, as just as a precautionary measure, is we're going to cut away this and this. What did I use? I used the
big ones.
Big snips. Let me grab them out.
Here, I don't know where they.
They're in that bag right there. Okay. So we're going to cut away this piece right here. So I'm going to pair of big metal snips here. I'm just going to take it and cut.
Can you see that? Here,
Okay.
let's show where you cut it.
Yeah, can I zoom in a little bit further?
Okay.
Okay.
So if you look, and we'll bend this down, I cut this whole portion off here. So when we put the cabling in, it's not going to, that's not going to interfere. And I'm actually going to cut this corner off. Right there.
Be careful, you're on a board.
Is that on the right
There we go.
So just cut this corner here and cut this part of the housing off so that there's no sharp edge here.
Okay, so that will give you a nice smooth surface for the cable to go over. Now let's move over to the top plate. So this is the plate you took off of the top. Now if we were to snap this back on, this goes down like this. This goes over like this. If you look closely, this piece right here goes over. Mandy, let me know if you can see that. If we put this back on,
It's hard to see.
can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, if we put this back on, this piece on the top plate of the Kinect is also going to do the same thing. So what we want to do is we want to remove this portion of the top plate right here. And the easiest way to do it is to make a cut right here, the same way we just did there. And I'm going to do that. It's on the left. So all I'm doing is lifting this up just a hair. And I know the snips are probably better, but my snips are not sharp enough. So I cut that and pull this up.
Did you snip it all the way? You're not a camera view.
Okay. So now I'm bending these up. And let me just grab.
There's a comment whenever you're ready.
Oh, we were listening on.
Okay, so David Goodman just commented, "Hey everyone, SOX from LIV GitHub here. Noticed in the description that you said to install the Kinect 1.8 SDK. but for the Kinect version 2, you don't need any drivers. In the unusual occurrence that you do, install the 2.0 runtime.
Okay, that's
That's
awesome
good to know. I'm going to go ahead and
Now,
snip.
is he in the camera view?
He is, yeah.
Okay, I'm snipping off these pieces here as close as I can get. Okay, and then what you're going to have is leftover one sticking out. So now the next step, and this is also optional, but we highly recommend it, is this right here could touch the board as well. So what we're going to do is, and don't be afraid, we're going to take a hammer, bend these down,
Bring it up a little bit.
and bend these all the way in.
Oh my God, for anybody who has earphones on right now, we apologize.
Okay. Now forgive me, I'm going to hit hard. Okay, so the whole goal is to make that as smooth as possible. So that now when you put this Kinect housing back on, there's nothing here that's going to rub against the wire. Okay, so we're good there, right?
I think so.
All right. So with that,
It's time to solder, right?
yep.
All right,
Let's see if
let's
our
glue
hot
this
glue
on.
is glued.
Don't forget the gambit.
And it is. Okay, so now the best thing to do here is to actually put this back on. So we're going to put this back on, and then we're going to...
Gambit if you didn't do it already.
What's that, hon?
Don't forget the gambit if you didn't do it already.
Oh, yeah. Put the grommet back in.
You're not on camera.
Put that little plastic back in there. Like that, so that it's in there. Actually, I think I got this reversed. It should be on the top. Okay, so now we got the rubber housing back in there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this back on.
Is it in view here? Okay.
And this doesn't clip now. You're just going to make sure that the pegs on the bottom are lined up, which they are. So they're inside the pegs.
All right, so now we have to show this view.
So now you'll see that we have the black cable, which is going to run to, the easiest spot to run it to is this pin right here. And then we have the red cable, which you have to run to pin number 10.
All right, so just in case you can't see it, I don't know if, yeah, I'm going to try to zoom in here. So bear with me here while I try to do this. Is that good? Can you see it there?
Move to your right a little bit. There you go. That's better.
Okay, so this right here, let me use an X-Acto knife. Okay, here we go. This right here, can you see that, hon? Mandy, can you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I'm looking.
This one right here is the ground.
Right, that's
And
the
then
black
can you
wire.
point to pin 10? I think it's
I
this
can't see
one
it.
right.
I believe it's this one here.
It,
That's
So-
not in view.
no, hold on. It's not in view?
Yeah, because of the other camera.
Okay,
That's better.
there you go. So let me look here.
So this is ground, this is ground, this is
And-
ground, this is ground, and you
And
want to...
you're looking for the one that has 10 on it. We're not sure if we're pointing to the right
it's
one,
hard
but
to see here. So make sure you put the red wire on number 10 and this wire
on
on
that
any of the
big,
grounds, but it's probably best to put it on this one because it's right next to each other.
and that's
so-
what we're going to do. We're
So
going
that's
to
what
we're going to feed it to there.
So we're going to do this. Obviously, we're not going to be. You'll have to watch it from a distance. So you're not going to be able to get a close up because we're both going to have to do this. Or if you got an extra hand. So I'm going to push this down.
Mandy, is that good right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is solder the ground on. And I'm just, all I'm doing is making the wire so that it can be easily handled. And then Bob's going to just tap it with some solder.
Got it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, got a piece sticking up there. Okay, give it a second, and then give it a small, nope, it didn't catch. Put more on the right. Can you tap it from the right end? Yeah, from that side. Okay. All right, that looks like it might have it. All right, I'm giving it a tug and it's not moving.
All right. So now we're going to make sure that we're off the camera so that we can see if that's actually 10.
Yeah, we're gonna
Matter of fact,
just
I'm
pull this away real quick to see if I can get a good view of which one is 10. I may need a magnifying glass for that.
here, I got it.
So 10 is that one right there.
Here, right?
Yep. Okay. Let me route that. So 10. I'm gonna try to get this on the camera. Mandy, let me know if I'm in view.
You're getting there.
How about there?
The other camera's in the way.
What's that?
The other camera view's in the way, so you need to kind of move it to the. Right there should be good, actually.
Okay. So 10 is this connection right here. So right next to the other big leg, the small leg is the number 10. So that's what we're going to be soldering to. So let me get these wires routed correctly.
Just tenning up over here.
Okay. I think I have it. It's hard to tell.
Sorry, when I plugged in the light, I'm tied up over here. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, keep it right there. Okay, I'm giving it a tug. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Okay, so there we go. Not the most beautiful job, but it definitely works.
All right, so we're away from this right here, right?
Okay, so now if you look closely, the wires are free. They're not touching any metal, which we cut away. And now the next step is we're going to
Throw some hot glue on it.
skewer it even more by taking hot glue and covering the connections.
Now, the wise thing would be to do is to test it.
Yeah. But because we're going to trust our... So I'm putting hot glue like that. We'll let that sit for a second. And that'll even... So now think about what we did. So we have hot glue inside the fan shroud where the cable goes up. We have hot glue here. So really it would take a pretty good amount of force to pull this cable out and pull it away from not only this fan shroud, but what you just did right there. So
Now some people will say that the only reason people hot glue their soldering joints is because they don't trust their soldering, which is absolutely true.
Right.
We don't
exactly.
trust our soldering. So
So,
we would agree with that.
so let's let that dry. And while that's drying, does anybody have any questions, Mandy?
All right, so we can put this back on while it's dry, no?
I would let that dry before.
Okay.
But I tell you what we can do is I'm going to flip this upside down. If you want to take the screws, these two here, and screw them back into.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. It's these two?
Yep. So remember the housing, at the very bottom, there's two screws for the fan shroud. Bob's going to screw those screws back in. We're starting the reassemble process, by the way. The mod's done. That was all there was to the mod. And we're starting the reassemble process. Can you see if I do that?
I don't know if it's in right. I'm not catching. There it goes.
And don't over tighten. These are just plastic. So when you're doing this part, make sure the clips on the bottom are back in the clip. You'll see the holes for the clips to hold it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's done. Let's pull this back around. All right, I think we're dry enough, dude.
All right, so let's put this back on.
Yeah, so we got to put this back on and then screw that back in, right?
Yeah.
So we're sliding that back on, and then we can screw the screws back in, which will get done after we put the bottom part on.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
You think it's dry enough?
Yeah, I think it's dry enough. I think we can go ahead and put the...
All right, so we're just gonna flip this around.
So this was the top. Remember that it clipped in.
Wait, do you want to do the bottom first, or?
Yeah, we can. Did we take the bottom off?
This was what we took off first, I think, right?
Okay.
Wait, do you want to put the sides in?
Yeah, we can do that. Oh, no, the sides need to rest on the bottom.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's put the bottom. Oh, no, you're right. I'm sorry, dude. You're right. That is
Okay.
the first part.
So put the top back on. Make sure that the clips clip back on.
And you got to push in.
And then make sure
You're not
that,
in here.
yeah, you'll hear it click. See?
There you go.
And then make sure you push down. And then that'll be back on again. Okay, and then we're going to have to screw those two screws that we took off, which are right here, back on
The sides.
the sides, which are located right here.
So I'm going to do
screw
this
that back
first.
on.
Okay. You got that side?
Mm-hmm.
And we are almost done. Close to fini.
Okay.
Okay.
And now
So
we're
now we're going to put the side panels back on.
yeah. So now, if you slide this back out just a hair, what you want to look for here is on these side panels. There's a lip on the corner, so make sure that you match it with the like. If I look at here, this is beveled right here, Mandy. Can you see that? So when you put these back in, make sure you pull this out far enough. Put this back in, so it slides in. Right there. And then that'll allow you to push the thing back over. So Bob's going to do the same thing on the other side.
Okay.
Okay, so Bob's got that in. This is in. So now we could just put this down on the surface, slide this up, and then put the backing back in. Now, when you put this backing back in, you may have to push these metal. So when you slide them in,
You want to push, make sure you push underneath the housing.
okay,
Okay.
you'll hear it sort of click, and just make sure there's no metal caught on the bottom. And that looks like it's good. What do you think?
I think it looks good.
Okay, so if you remember from when we took it apart, these screws here were the big ones. Watch your phone.
Oh, sorry, man. Just trying to make it easier for you.
Mandy, can you see that? Okay. And these were the small ones go into these holes. Don't put anything in the center.
All right, and I'm going to repeat this process on this side.
Okay. And I'm going to start screwing the mod.
Yeah, I kind of figured you were going to go there.
Now again, don't over tighten these. You just want to screw them down so that they hold.
Any questions while we're doing this?
Time Lord Mom just asked, what are you working on this time?
always up to something, right?
And Ashley just said, be conservative with the solder and you won't have any problems messing up the connections. You really only needed to make a minor connection to the point for this to work.
Okay. Well, yeah. Tell Risa thanks. We're
definitely not soldering experts. but-
exactly. So I'm sure there's people out there that cringed when we did the soldering, but you know what? If this fails, you get the idea. But you know, we
have a backup to show you the next part of it.
Oh, that may be our next.
Oh, that
mod.
might be our next mod. That noise you heard there. We'll show you that if we can. All right, so we got these screws back in. So it's fully assembled.
Is this one? Can you put that down just a little bit more?
This one?
This one here.
I don't want to over tighten anything.
Yeah,
but
it's just sticking up just a little bit. There you go.
okay.
All right, so now it's time to put the stickers back on.
So this one went on that side, I believe. And this one
Here,
on that
I'm going to screw this down just a little bit more.
Okay. So now we're putting the sticker back on. Again, fully optional.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, so what do we have? So we have the Kinect back together. We have the power cable, which is here. And now we need, if you look, the USB. We have a 9-foot USB. Mandy, you want to go to the other camera? So we have a 9-foot USB 3.0 cable. And you just make sure it's blue. And if you look closely, because, and Mandy, I don't know if you want to switch back. I can now slide this in and plug it in. Let me make sure I got this right. Plug it in snugly into that. That's a nice tight fit. There's your power. There's your USB.
It's all tidy.
Nice and
all
tight.
nice and neat.
And if we plug it in, hopefully you just saved yourselves some boo-goo bucks.
Yeah, anywhere from 60 to 200, which is good.
So,
And you bring back the life in Xbox One.
so let's go. You want to
But
plug it in?
Do you want to ask them about the other mod while we're
Yeah,
next to
so
the table?
let me show you another mod.
This is something that we could do.
Is there any way to swing it over here?
there is.
So you let us know if you want to see this before we plug this in. Let us know, and we'll take a vote on Twitter to see if you want to see this. This mod here is a YouTube counter, which will count. I think it's 3 things. It will count either.
No, it would no count 4. It'll count the number of videos.
Yeah, the number of videos that you have, the number of subscribers that you have, the number of views that you have, and there was one other. There was
Yeah,
There was one
I
other.
forget the other thing it had.
but we have views on this one right now, but
Yeah, the channel's just getting started, so we didn't want to see our petty little 100. And so, although we appreciate every one of you, and boy, did we get a lot yesterday. So we may be switching
yesterday was
this, but
killer. So if you unplug this and plug this back in, it will say hello.
I can do that.
So Bob will unplug it. You'll see that it will say hello. There you go. And this is all 3D printed. We did that here. It's got an on and off switch to turn off because when it updates,
We have it play Willy Wonka, Pure Imagination.
but yeah, you can have it do whatever you want. You can by default it just plays a small beep, but once it connects to the YouTube, it will actually.
Did you just
update
say
it. The YouTube?
the
Yeah.
YouTube like an old man?
Yeah, once it connects to the YouTube,
Forgot the S at the end.
The YouTubes.
it will display the number of counts.
So it's going to go here.
And this is all Wi-Fi, by the way. This adapter right here is only supplying
Power.
the 5-volt powers. Anytime, come on. There you go.
That was Pure Imagination. So that's really cool. So we built this because the channel just launched. So we figured, you know what, it'd be cool to have a counter that comes
yeah,
up
a little
with the,
motivational
yeah,
device.
yeah, so that it keeps going. So if you want to see this, if you want to if you want to watch this, we can duplicate this and show you how we did this.
By the way, what was the total price of this?
The total price I think was $10, $9 or $10.
So I mean, if you have access to a 3D printer, then
maybe even cheaper than that.
yeah, it was like nothing. The total price for this was nothing. You could use any phone cable that you, as long as it's a normal power 5-volt power phone jack.
So very, very cool mod. We may do another mod video.
Oh, so let us know if you want to see that. All right, we're going to switch back over to Mandy's got it. So let's grab that camera, and then we're going to plug this into the PC, and
Now,
it
excuse my
should.
mess here. We were.
Dude, I'm gonna while you're doing that, I'm gonna unglue the.
Mandy, can you minimize YouTube? And if you can, we're going to trust OBS. So if you can minimize OBS. Oh, hey, Mandy. Oh, you know what? We could show the desktop.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Show the
Oh,
desktop.
okay.
So go back to OBS
Yeah, got it.
and show the desktop. Okay, so here's a key thing when you plug this in. And Bob, I don't know if you want to switch back to the camera so they can see them actually plugging
Yeah.
it in.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to actually plug this in, and the first thing I'm going to do is plug the 3.0 USB cable, obviously into a 3.0 port on the back of the PC.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, doing my own taxes. That's TurboTax.
Okay, and then we're going to plug in. Where are we going to put this?
You can plug it right in behind you.
No, but are we going to show it?
Yeah, we can. We can.
So can I reach over there?
Yeah, can you plug it into that extension cord right there?
So let's put it here. We'll slap it down. And then we'll plug this in. Now, Mandy, if you want to go to the desktop. Oh, wait, I'm plugging it in now. So it's plugged in. Notice that the light doesn't come on the Xbox. You have no indicator that this is actually on yet.
Oh, it just came on.
So it's just activated on the screen. You can't see it, but it just found a USB device. And it says now the Kinect is set up and ready to go. So it did work. It did connect onto the PC. We got the other monitor showing.
Okay.
So,
So now
Bob,
why
do you
don't
want
we
to take
launch the
over?
green screen? Yeah.
So Bob's going to take over the desktop.
All right. Sorry, guys, trying to get organized here. So we will go to the test desktop here. Now remember, there's two. Oh, can you move that so that they can hear me? Okay, so remember there are two versions of the green screen. Version 2, and I have this unzipped by the way. Version 2 is for the Xbox One, and then version 1 is for the Xbox 360. So in our last video, you saw us run the Xbox 360 one. This time we're going to run the Xbox green screen version 2. This is self-contained. Up here is an icon that will show you whether or not it detected the camera, and if you can see by default, because the tripod's in the way.
Let me move this, and I will stand in the view, and
There you go.
virtual green screen. Now the cool thing about this is if I walk, this is Bob's whole living room.
Here, let me change this camera. Yeah, so this is my entire living room that you're seeing, and
So-
by default, he's able to walk my entire living room. Now we don't have the camera up, so we're just throwing this on the table, but he's able to walk around the entire living room and able to get a view of himself.
And this looks a lot better than the 360 version.
Absolutely. Now again, we didn't tinker with lighting. We didn't change anything. This is just the default lighting
Yeah,
in the
this is
house.
just standard house lighting.
You can add lighting or so on, but I got to tell you, for what was it, $15?
Yeah.
I think $15. It was successful.
We found the Xbox 360s locally.
You can stand right there and talk, because you can see.
Yeah, but the mic's not going to hear me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we found the Xbox 360 Kinects on our local apps. And it was like $20, I think, plus
Yeah.
tolls. So we got two of them for $20 each, and the cables themselves were, I think it was like $12 for both the USB cable and the other cable.
They said Mike can hear you from that.
Okay.
By the way. And David Goodman was putting.
All right, so we're gonna answer any questions real quick before we wrap this up. Did we have any questions?
No, just David Goodman said the icon does not change in the KinectV2 software. You have to look at the bottom left where it says running.
Okay.
And yeah.
And that's it. That's actually going to wrap it up. So from there, it's just a matter of doing what we did on our last video.
Right. So at that point, this is you want to get to the green screen portion, and then you want to go to our last video and pick up where we left off.
Yeah. Just go to launching that green screen app, and just pick up where that screen left off on our last video, and you should have a great looking Beat Saber in mixed reality.
Right, and other games. There's a list of games that are supported in LIV. So for $20, and you may be able to get it cheaper. We happen to find 2 of them for $20. So for $20 Xbox One and not buying the adapter and spending like $15 on Amazon, you got yourself a pretty good green screen. And if you find a place where you can mount that permanently, so the camera doesn't move once you do that calibration once. It's just a matter. Yeah, it's just a matter of kicking on the game.
Yeah, you just launch the game you want.
And then if you're a content provider that you're doing Beat Saber all the time or other games, it's just a matter of launching the game, throwing up your OBS, and squaring things away, and it's quick and easy. LIV, the developer, which we appreciate. Thank you for jumping in our chats. Thank you for jumping in the Reddit post and for your Discord. Has told us that they're working on the integration, the green screen that you're seeing.
Yeah, it's going
that
to
you
be
saw.
update.
The guy who made that is actually now a part of the LIV team. Awesome guy. Forget his name.
GiantSox.
Yeah, Sox. So
That's it.
so
That's
oh, he's it. So great choice to get him a part of the team. You're going to hopefully see LIV integrate this whole process. So this here that we just did is really something that can be used later on down the road for all future VR mixed reality videos. So, for content providers, it's great if you're doing content. For people that are doing VR in their room and want to show everybody sitting around what they see as an experience, this is another great thing, because then you don't even have to open up OBS.
Yeah.
You just open up the green screen app and they get to see once they brought up the LIV software, what they're seeing through the LIV.
And also, I just want to clear up a couple things too.
And hopefully you can hear us because the mic is all the way over there.
They can hear.
Just to let you know that there is
You might want to speak up.
there's a camera built into both the 360 and the Xbox One. Even though you're seeing a webcam here, you do not need an additional webcam to run this. The Kinect itself has IR that blasts signals throughout the room, and then anything that moves shoots it back to the the Kinects, and then the webcam that's in there actually displays the information on the virtual green screen.
Right. So anything stationary will turn up green. Anything that moves will actually be visible through the camera,
Right.
which gives the ability to have the entire room green screen because nothing in the room is moving.
Yeah, there
Now,
are some questions regarding that.
yeah,
you
if
know,
the
in
dog
last
walks while you're playing
It's
in front
gonna
of
show
it,
up.
it's going to show the dog because the dog is moving and the Kinect is capturing a 3-dimensional image of your room and sees that movement. Which hence is the reason why me and Bill can be in the same room, same green screen, and we'll both be visible. So it was a good question by people.
They also said if you're using a VIVR, use the sync cable. It will minimize tracking interference.
Yes, we did read that if you have interference in the room, that it's best to use the sync cable to get the best results. We can tell you that last night we messed with syncing our video, and here's a little pro tip from you. If you watch our last video, people said, hey, you were not synced up properly, and they were absolutely correct.
Absolutely right. Now we ran through it, but yes, they were right.
We were rushing through that video to get it done, just like this one is way over what we want to plan on. But we were rushing through it. We did not do the sync option, which when you launch VIVR, you sync your hands to the controller, and you want to make sure that's correct. Once you get that sync right, then you will launch LIV, and inside LIV, under the camera section, there is another latency field. And you can drag that up and down to provide latency for the game so it matches the latency that you're seeing in your room.
Right.
So you have the sync inside the latency inside the LIV software, the VIVR software.
VIVR, that way it gives your controllers, they
Yeah,
make your
sure they're
controllers stay in
perfectly
your
synced.
hand.
And then once you do that, our recommendation is launch the game, have somebody stand in the room and play the game, and while you're doing that, bring up the LIV and go to the camera calibration where you can adjust the latency and adjust the latency while you're watching the screen and watching him play.
And it syncs up
and
perfectly.
you'll sync up perfectly. The only thing you'll have to do after that is if you're using a microphone, you're gonna have to add that same delay to your microphone so that you're not out of sync with your mic. But it's just a little tip for you because we didn't do it in our last video and we got people saying it was out of sync. Yeah, we knew it was out of sync. We just didn't have time to cover that part of it.
He said, I mean between your VIVR base stations. If the Kinect can see one of your base stations and you aren't using the sync cable, it'll severely affect your VIVR's tracking.
Okay.
He was talking about the...
Yeah.
Okay. Now, well, I can tell you that last night. Well, now we're not using the sync cables. We're actually they're connected without them. And when we played it last night, we had no
problems
tracking
whatsoever.
issues whatsoever. But
That's
may
a
be
good
the
tip
case,
if
so
you're
it's a
having
good
it.
tip. You might want to use the cables. All right. And any other questions?
Nope, just Ashley just commented back. Great video, chaps. I like the other mods you included to take the tension off the soldering points, but routing it to the Kinect casing, and smart idea to use no conductive hot glue.
And we appreciate you calling us chaps. How about that? So that was lovely.
Yeah. So yesterday we want to thank everybody who subscribed. We had a ton of subscribers.
Yeah, a ton of subscribers, ton
So
of
thank
people
everybody
reaching out.
for joining. And today we want to thank everybody who came in and chatted with us and watched the video. If you're watching this post, thank you for watching and joining the community. And we'll try to keep up with the modding scene and
Right, if
anything else we can come up
If you
with.
want to see more modding videos, primarily this channel was set up for VR gaming, but it looks like that the modding videos get a lot of traction. So if you want to see more modding videos, let us know. We'll do the for all the content providers, we'll do the YouTube counter if that's something you're interested in. But just leave a comment down below and let us know.
Right. So with that, I think
Do
that's
all that
wrap it up.
YouTube stuff. All the
Every link that we talked about is in the description in the YouTube. Feel free to run through it, including the hardware that we use. And with that, we're going to wrap up this video. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next time.